All right, folks, we should be good to go inside our live trading room. Good morning and welcome on back to close out our week. We have Brad, Kathleen, Grant, John, Rod, Lawrence, and all of us inside our live trading room. Great to see you there. Great to have all of us back, perhaps otherwise, though. Knew something was missing. There we go. Got the bright light in front of me now. So all of us on YouTube, Facebook Live, etc., etc., all of our social media streams, that is at Cyber Trading U. Great to have you back as well. Now, let's hop right to it here this morning. We have the SGD stock up once again, up another 160, plus percent here. So let's actually take it back to yesterday, the stock. And with that, I actually want to grab the news out on this thing. It might be a new IPO on top, but the thing with the stock yesterday was like it was getting halted like 30 times over on the way up, on the way down. Let's see. Yeah, relatively new IPO. It hasn't technically broken all-time highs just yet, but with that said, just a random pop yesterday, low float, low volume, and with that, it's more prone to getting halted, and with that, halted over and over and over and over. So, is there any news out on this company? Is it just a short squeeze? What's the deal with this? So that's right. And now, as I recall this year, we did post this inside the chat board. We covered this briefly. So, SGD trading higher after the company announced that's basically not doing their common stock offering that they were contemplating with the registration statement. So, I've never really seen news like that before. You always see news of common stock offering, direct stock offering, and the stock typically drops off in price as it dilutes the stock price there. They're adding more shares outstanding. I've never really seen news like where they've gone back on that, at least from what their intention was. It wasn't official yet, but they've gone back on their intention. And not much of a surprise with that in mind. Hey, with that news, if it were to have been confirmed, it would have diluted the price. The fact that they're going against it, going back on it, it moved it up. But who would have expected the run that you had here yesterday? So this stock went from what, like 80 cents, 65 cents, all the way up to $6. Come on now. So the more it goes up and up and up, of course, you become more skittish and hesitant to jump in. And that makes sense because what goes up does come back down. And we had some nasty shakes on this yesterday. To be transparent, I don't think many of us were expecting this to pop up once again this morning early at the crack of dawn. But I would still say the same thing here, right? For a stock that made such a big pop yesterday and once again this morning, we're going to put it on our watch list, but just I would be very careful, even more now than ever, just thinking that you're on the top of the roller coaster here, ready to drop back down. So if you're not making a higher high soon once the market opens up, then I would definitely say be on the lookout for the profit taking. Big pullback. We had another one that was up over 100% this morning early in pre-market. It was cheapy stock below $1. WLGS. It was actually pushing up towards the dollar threshold, though. So let me try and zoom out here on this chart. It looks like more from 7:30 in the morning, the stock just began to pop. Ended up making a push from like 60, 65 cents. Actually, kind of similar price from where the SGD trade started from, but obviously this didn't really have as the wheels to run up as much as that one did. So topped off at 120, a pretty good 100+% mover in pre-market, but again, I'm not really too keen to follow a stock below $1 just right away. As we go down the scanner here coming up, we'll be pretty efficient from top to bottom. If there's nothing else looking good, then I'll come back to this one if I need to. You know what I mean? So, hey, folks, we've had earnings coming out from the last 2 weeks. We're pretty much finishing up the earnings season this week. And with that, we do have monthly options expiring later on this afternoon. So there should be a lot of volatility, at least heading towards the afternoon. It was a pretty lackluster pre-market between you and myself. Brian was calling out chopped charge point, that is, right? CHPT as a short. Well, that's why we had it on the list to begin with, right? So actually, the one stock that may have actually been tradable, worked in our favor to any degree, it was the charge point stock here. But hey, with as shortable as it is, and with as much down as it already is, breaking all-time lows, we're getting a little closer to the ground floor. You know what I mean? We're getting just a wee closer to zero. And the closer it gets, the less interested I am in it. So what I mean by that is don't expect a 50-cent move this morning on this trade. Have this drop 50 cents from 212. But, in terms of tradable stock coming off news, down big, it's actually down enough percentage-wise where if this fails to drop off much lower after the open, then perhaps you could get a dead cat bounce. Perhaps. But I'd rather it be down even more percentage-wise for us to think about that first. Let's just focus on the short all-time lows. I don't mind adding this to our list at least, Brian. tradable. Rodney asking about Gap GPS. So with that, folks, let's just go right from top to bottom, right, as we always do. We'll run into Gap and all these others here in a bit. So not Mara here, number 2, but Mora. We'll call it Mora, not Mara. It's like more. It's Mara's cousin. Ended up having a nice pop in the after hours. A little push up earlier in pre-market this morning. Let's just check the news out on this stock. I've never seen this stock before, so it looks like a new IPO. Yeah, just from yesterday, hot off the press from yesterday. New IPO traded just under 2 million shares yesterday. I have no real interest in trading the stock, especially with that in mind. It's just that if this was more liquid, then maybe I'd consider it. But just because it's up 60, 70% doesn't mean we're going to trade it, put it on our watch list. It's all about tradability, and it's got to have good volume out there. Same to be said here. LAES, I don't think is much of a new IPO, really. You could say, I guess, from the summertime, but not like yesterday. But stock dropped off since its IPO. Perhaps a little recovery room here this morning. I guess I got Benzinga up in front of me one more time. I'll check the news out on this one. So this one does have some news. LAES, I guess, is this... Oh, no. So it looks like some company is doing a deal with this one here. The company Edge Eagle, they're doing a deal with LAES for defense and public safety applications of drones, it looks like. So a little pop-up, at least a little headline to it. And with that, at least a better book. It's pulling back a little bit right now. I don't mind adding this to our list to begin, though. It's up big and at least tradable. All right. So, again, folks, we're going to go down the whole list. Jith and Rod, all of us just here. Hang back. We got this. I'm going to go down our nice scanners list here. And with that, Gap, hey, I didn't put it on the pre-market list because it had a bad book. It's not really trading at 8 o'clock when it was just more flat and it wasn't really showing much volume out there. It's still not. But what we should assume at least is by the time the market opens up at 9:30, you will see the order book fill in. That's not to say for every stock, but for a more name brand company like Gap, I think everyone knows Gap at least. And with that, I think that's the type of stock where the order book would fill in more. So with seeing this pop back up, I really like it here. And you know what? One more time. You got Newsman Levitan here for you this morning. So Gap shares trading higher after the company announced better than expected Q3. Looks like a double beat. I don't see anything with guidance, which is all right. I'm just mentioning, it was a double beat at least, and good pop up over 20% already here in pre-market. The CAUD is not going anywhere. This thing is garbage. Not going anywhere right now. Same with Man U. Same with most of these others, probably. Chris, Lee, ABCM. This is a buyout, and that's definitely a buyout there. Natural gas ETF cold, moving up a little bit, but we're already below 5. We're at 5% just about now. So I'm going to do one more scan right here for the meantime. So FBIO not really going anywhere. And with that, let's just hop over to the loser side. So, hey, we got 4 on our main list already, and that's pretty good. Chop being one of them at least. So it's funny. I keep calling it Chopped, like the food show on Food Network. Remember Chopped? So Charge Point. I get it from Fausto because we always nickname these stocks. So Charge Point, the EV company, of course. I call it Chopped, like the TV show. So either way you cut it, Charge Point, CHPT. We're going to put this on our watch list already there. AMAT, a little expensive, but took a hit from earnings yesterday too. Cold up, boiled down. That's expected. BJ down off earnings also. Not Mara, not Mora, but you got Maya here, MAIA. How about that? For anyone suffering trader's dyslexia like myself, then let's try and remove that from our list there too. Bob is showing a lot of volume in pre-market. I mean, not too surprising. It trades a lot of volume normally and coming off their earnings yesterday. It's just that, they are moving pretty decent here in pre-market. They're actually down 3% still, this morning, but trading a lot of volume. I'd keep them on your side list, on your side list at least if you did well on them yesterday. All right, so folks, let me know if there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5% here. Before we wrap up, here's Benzinga Pro, just checking out SGD. This is not going anywhere, though, the CAUD, that is. All right, so if there's anything else that I may have missed, definitely let me know. I was calling out sideless stock earlier. PLTR just had a huge iceberg order on the buy side here. I think it's still out there. Yeah, 1970, but nothing special about the stock. That's all. Unless if CAUD's popping like $1 right now, guys. I don't know what we're looking at there. This is not going anywhere. I think we have a lot of hopium on this, if anything. And hey, I like hopium, but it's got to show at least some viable, decent, somewhat good-looking uptrend. This has just been flat since pre-market. So yes, it's up big percentage-wise, or it's up big 15%. How big is big nowadays, right? You got 3,000% TPST. We had like 1,100% SGD yesterday, 15%. So, it's just to say, though, either way, the trend of this is so flat. You're just kind of bashing your head against the wall here trying to follow this for right now. If it pops at the open, I'll call it out, but for right now, we're going to pass on it. AMAT is also under pressure following a report suggesting the company is facing a U.S. criminal investigation for possibly evading export restrictions on China's SMIC. Oh, that's interesting. That's a nice little tidbit there from Brian on that AMAT stock. A little expensive, so I didn't really include that on our watch list at least, but hey, if you trade AMAT normally, that would be obviously up your alley. All right, so folks, again, the last call. Let me know if there's anything else that we had missed. I mean, only 4 stocks on our watch list. It's really fine by me. Keep it super simple, right? I mean, I always say it when I do these meetings, when I tag in for Fausto. I tend to see the opportunity a slight bit more on some trades. Fausto is really just like he's so good at keeping it simple. He doesn't really like pumping out a big watch list. I don't either, but I kind of fall into that trap every now and then. WLGS, going back to this, the only stock we said we'd go back to, and with that, that's on the way down. We're on the way out, right, folks? So with that, hey, for all of us on social media, got Vin here just on Facebook. Actually, really quick, can anyone short SGD? I see buy to cover at Fidelity. So that I could actually answer very briefly here, Vin. So there is a couple of brokers like out there. I'm not going to name them, and I don't suggest anyone to try and do it anyway. But there's a couple brokers out there that do offer the ability to short these like micro cap stocks. I want you, for anyone that's interested, I want you to do some homework over the weekend. I want you to go on Twitter, go on X, and I'm not just doing this to get you to follow at Cyber Trading You, of course. No, but seriously, just go on Twitter and look up actually $SGD. I want you to look up $SGD on X, on Twitter, whatever they call it nowadays, and you'll see some people like that were trading it. You might see some people making a little money on shorting these micro caps, but I swear to you, all these like influencers and like all these people out there trying to like pump up their own name, get attention. What happens when the stock squeezes up, huh? You tell me that, and they're short on it. They get absolutely demolished. And, I see people posting like minus 20,000 on a trade, minus 32,000. Like, what the hell? What are you doing? And the thing is that when there's a short squeeze on a stock like that, even if you set a stop, there is a much better chance of your stop getting blown right through. So if you're not out on that trade and the stock is still running up, getting halted, reopening, getting halted the next second after, you're in disaster zone. So for as much as we say what goes up comes back down, I would never really suggest to do that, like, especially for something that's up that much or for something that is running up, 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 up. When you think of catching the falling knife, that is the exact same thing on a short. When you're trying to, short a stock as it's running up, 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 it's literally the same thing. The difference is that actually between a short and a long, a short technically as a stock is dropping, it can go to zero, right? It can go to zero or just mere pennies. God knows how much a stock can pump up to, right? All right, so folks, with that, let's see in the chat board. One last look at SGD. It's on our list, right? It's on our watch list, and namely for a move upward. But if we begin to fail to see higher highs, we get a lower high or a head fake, then definitely scrap it. Jith made some good money on this trade earlier. Definitely take it and run, right, Jith? And now you could focus on stocks that are much easier to follow. Stocks like ChargePoint, stocks like Gap, or the LAES. We'll see what's out there otherwise. All right, folks. So, hey, best of luck trading going into the market open here. If you are not following us once again on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, X, the works, whatever you're on nowadays, at Cyber Trading You. Make sure to follow us, subscribe us, be a friend, tell a friend as well. And hey, just if you wanted to join us inside our live trading room, especially for next week and the week after, we have actually Thanksgiving week where normally it's a little slow. That's a great time to learn and be a student and member inside our live trading room. Your back's not against the wall. You don't have any like pressure, rush to make money. It's holiday week. Take things slow. So it's actually a good time to join us inside our live trading room. Scan that QR code on the top left if you're interested in joining us. We look forward to seeing you there. For students like Brad, Kathleen, Jith, John, and all of us otherwise, Leda and Grant, how could I forget? And Brian, otherwise, and Michael. I'll be on the mic in just about 10, 12 minutes. Going to refill up on water. We'll be good to go here in just a little bit, folks. Talk to you soon.